y'all, it's Betsy from Cuttin Corners Vinyl in Nederland, Texas, and today we have a fun project to do. I'm going to show you from start to finish how to make this adorable Easter sign. Now, I did purchase this signboard a while back at Hobby Lobby for $5.99 in their Christmas craft section, and you know how whenever they have holiday craft stuff, it's always 40% off. But I used Corel Draw, which you can still use like Silhouette or Cricut or Brother Scan and Cut, because the shapes that I created to make the Easter bunnies up here are very, very simple. So you can still use the same ideas to recreate it if you do not have Corel Draw. But Corel Draw, someone said in my live video yesterday that it's on sale for $69 for the Home and Student Edition right now on Amazon. Just to give you a heads up. But I've had a lot of requests to do more design work. So I figure if we're gonna do design work, we're going to concentrate it in an art program. That way it's easier to follow along instead of trying to use all the different machines, because I have too many machines to try to show you how to recreate everything in each machine. With that being said, right now our HTV Thermoflex Plus is on sale on our website. It is $2.96 a sheet for 12 by 15 inch sheets. They're regularly $4. Now if you go to add them to your cart, it will still show $4 on the website, but once you look in your cart, you will see the discount applied. There's no code needed. But give me a minute and I will show you how we made this. Okie dokie. So for today's tutorial, we are going to be creating a sign from scratch. So I'm going to go over all of the process to make this. I do have my Corel Draw Home and Student open. Now, most of these steps that I'm going to do, you don't have to have an art program for, but if you don't want to recreate yourself, I am going to upload this file to our Patreon page for our $10 or more a month patrons. So as you can see, it's just a blank 8.5 by 11 page. Actually, that one's showing 6 by 9. So it really doesn't matter. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to create a square background that is going to be the size of our signboard, which our signboard is 8.45 inches wide by 8.45 inches tall. Not 845. Let's change that back down. Okie dokie. So now you can see it. We're going to go ahead and give our background a fill color so we can see it. And I want to get rid of the outline. I never like leaving outlines on objects if I'm not using the outline. So there we go. So that pretty much is what our signboard looks like, except it does kind of have that wood paneling look. But there we go. Okay. So now I want to go ahead and create a couple of registration marks. And because the signboard already has a string attached to it, we are going to put our registration mark in the bottom corner. So just like we did with the square background, we're going to create our square. Go ahead and go down. We use the cyan color for our fill. If it will let me open up our outline portion. Okay, there we go. Let's go to our outline. And we're going to change that to none. Now, my computer program is going to run a little bit slower because I am running a screen capture software behind it. So first thing I want to do now is I want to copy and paste. So now we have two of these little blue squares. And I'm going to take and grab both of those squares, the big gray one and the little blue one, and go to Objects, Align. We're going to align right. Object, Align, and bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this square on, and we're going to shift and grab both the gray object, align left, and object align bottom. So now our squares are where they're supposed to be. Now we're going to go ahead into creating our bunny peep shape. Now this is a little bit different. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a circle. And I have my aspect ratio unlocked because I want to make sure that this is exact. We're going to go ahead and change this down to 1 inch and then change the height to 1 inch. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and create another circular shape, but this time it's going to be oval. And I am going to make this 0.85 wide by 0.75 tall. So now we have our oval. It's not a big difference in an oval. Now we're going to move that on to our other circle. And right now it looks funny. Don't get me wrong. So I selected both of our circles and I'm going to go up to Object Align. And we're going to align centers horizontally. And I like to leave the outlines on this because I want to kind of be able to manipulate my shapes till I'm ready to finish it. Okay, so now I'm going to take and select my circle tool again. I'm going to create another oval. And this time I'm going to make my oval 0.75 inches wide, which makes it look like a circle, by 0.25 inches tall. We're going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit on this so you can see this a little bit better. Scroll up. Okay, so that is going to be our bunny ear shape. So we're going to go ahead and manipulate it a little bit because bunny ears typically aren't straight across. Okie dokie. Now we're going to move our bunny ear to our body. And I want to go ahead and copy that bunny ear and paste it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the mirror horizontally. And that gives us perfect placement of our bunny ears. There we go. Now I want to take and select just my 2 bunny ears. So we're going to take our shift key and select bunny ears. Object align. And we're going to make sure our bottoms are aligned. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and group those 2 objects together. And the reason why I'm going ahead and grouping those is I want to select the rest of my bunny figure and go to Object, Align, Center horizontally. So it's starting to look like a bunny, but not. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all of it. And we're going to make our bunny that cyan color that we're using for everything else. And we're going to go ahead and open up our outline tool and choose none. So that looks like our bunny, exactly the way I want our bunny to look. So I'm selecting that whole object again, those 4 shapes we put together. And I'm going to go to Object, Group, I don't know. And then I'm going to go up here. You see this tool that says Weld and Weld it. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do, just to make sure everything welded correctly, we're going to go to View, and we're going to choose Wireframe. And that shows you what it looks like when it's going to cut. You see how you've got all your squares and your bunny shape? That's what you want to do. Now we're going to go back to View and go to Normal. That makes it a little bit easier to see. Okay. Now, I think I want to make 4 of these bunnies. So we're going to go ahead and right click, copy, then right click off of it and do paste, paste, paste. Okie dokie. So now we have created our 4 bunny shapes. And you can either use a cotton ball, or what I'm going to do is use a paint pen and make little faces on them. But I'm not going to create that as vinyl because we are going to make a stencil out of this design. Okay, so again, we're going to go to align top. And I want to zoom in a little bit on this, just to make sure there is evenly spaced. And it doesn't have to be exactly evenly spaced, but pretty close. I like it not to be exactly perfect because then it has that arts and crafts kind of feel. Now we're going to go to Objects, Align Bottom. So as you can see, the 4 of my bunnies together makes it about 4.56 inches wide. So our sign board is 8.45. We're going to change the size. Actually, hold on. First, let's select them all. And we're going to go up here to Objects and Group. So that way, when I make any changes now to the size of the bunnies, it will change them all together. Now, I am locking the aspect ratio, that little lock up there, because when I change the width of these, I want it to change the height. So we're going to go ahead and make these 6 inches wide. Okay. Now we're going to scroll over here. As you can see, our bunnies are still selected. And we're going to select our gray sheet. And we're going to go to Object, Align, Centers Horizontally. Perfect. So now I can just take my little bunnies and use my arrow keys, which I'm actually going to take and move them with my mouse cursor because it's a little slow moving them with my arrow key, and then select that and my gray background again and go to Object, Align, Centers Horizontally. So far, this is what our sign is going to look like. Super cute, huh? And depending on the size of your family, you can make that with as many of those little bunny figures as you want. That's why I'm teaching you how to make them. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to make some text on this sign. So let's say Hoppy. No. Look to go ahead and do Welcome Peeps, because those bunnies kind of remind me of the bunny peeps. Okay, so now we've got our Welcome Peeps typed out, and I think I want to choose a pretty cursive. What about Blessed Day? I like Blessed Day. Okie dokie. That looks pretty good. So, one thing I want to go ahead and do is we want to change our orientation to center. Now, one thing I want to go ahead and do, because I'm not happy with the spacing between Welcome and Peeps, so we're going to go up here to Object, go ahead and break Blessed Day apart. Go to Object again, break Blessed Day apart. Same thing with the word Peeps, break text apart. Now we're going to select the top word, and we're going to go to Objects, Convert to Curves, And then now, and I'll show you why we're going to weld it. Okay, so what we're going to do real quick is we're going to go to View, Wireframe. So if we don't weld it together, and this is a great program to see that, we're going to go ahead and select the word Welcome and select Weld. Looks good. But with the word Peeps, if I go ahead and weld this, I can't. You see what I'm saying? Until it is converted to curves. Object, let's go to our view and look at it in normal again. Now, we're going to go to Objects, Convert to Curves. Perfect. And now we're going to weld the word Peeps. Okay, so the main reason why I did that is because I didn't like how much spacing was between Welcome and Peeps. Okay, so now I put the spacing where I like it. Go to Objects, Align, Centers horizontally. Looks cute. And now I'm selecting that all. We're going to go ahead and convert it to the color cyan. And we're going to go ahead and group those words together because we're fixing to place it on our sign. We're going to go ahead and make that 7 inches wide. Perfect. Place it on our sign where we're wanting it. And then select, keep the wording selected and then the gray background and go to Object, Align, Centers horizontally. So that's pretty much what our sign's going to look like. So now we can go ahead and delete that gray background. We don't need it anymore. We're going to go ahead and select all of our pieces. And we're going to go ahead and go to Object, Group, Group Objects. Now I'm going to go to File, up here at the top. Sorry if I'm, and go to Export. And I'm going to do Welcome Peeps. We're going to go ahead and export that. We see, and when we export this, we like to keep our ratio on 1:1 or 1:100. If that's different, it will look weird whenever you bring it into your cutting program. Go ahead and click OK. Now we're going to go down here to Cricut Design Space. Go to Upload, Upload Image, Browse. Scroll up here to the top, and we're going to go to Quick Access because since we just saved it, that's the easiest place it's going to be. And there is our sign. Isn't it cute? Okie dokie. Now we're going to click Insert Image. Perfect. Now, as you can see, even though I saved the sign as 8.45, whenever you're converting SVGs, those sizes will change. So what we're going to go ahead and do is change that down to the exact size that we needed again to fit on the signboard. Perfect. And it doesn't matter about the height of this design. It matters about the width because this is the size of the sign is not the exact full height of it, but it is the full width. Okay, so that is done. So we're going to go ahead and either weld or attach our objects because we are cutting this in one piece because this is making a sign. And we're going to click on Make It. Click Continue. And because I am making a sign out of this, I am just going to use regular adhesive. So that would just be regular vinyl. Okay, now if you'll give me a moment to change the camera angle, I will go. As you can see here, I have a piece of wax paper laid down and then I have my signboard over here. Now, because this design is going to be a stencil, the first thing we want to go ahead and do is take out our squares for our registration marks. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the lettering. Whoop. Let's grab our center to our L. Sometimes, especially with this littler stuff, that can happen, but don't worry, you can always just lay it back. When it is cut, you can see where it goes. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove our 4 bunny shapes. There we go. And this signboard, as I said, came from Hobby Lobby, and it came already painted, this distressed white looking board. So now we're going to take our transfer tape and go ahead and lay it over our design. The most important part to be covered is what we're actually going to be painting. Let's go ahead and lift this a little bit because I have a wrinkle in it. And try to do it without a wrinkle. Squeegee it down. Perfect. Now, we're going to go up here to this top corner and remove our paper backing. Grab my Easy Weeding wooden pick. There we go. Oop. There we go. So that is what the back of it looks like. Now I am going to turn it where it's going to be upside down for y'all for just a second while I line up my signboard. Now this transfer tape is available on my website, and it is easy to see through. It may not show that it's easy to see through on camera, but it is actually very easy to see through. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove our transfer tape off. There we go. And typically I wouldn't waste a piece of wax paper, but I actually, that came in stuck to a machine that I'm testing. So I was like, well, I'll use it to paint on. Because I hate wasting stuff and I didn't want to just throw it away. So as you can see, that's what our bunny, drop my microphone, sorry y'all. That is what our bunny looks like. If that makes a bad noise, I am so sorry. Just trying to move stuff out of the way. Trying now to get that back clipped. Okay, so there's what our sign looks like. So I'm going to take my paint, which this is a mixture of different paints. This is the Master's Touch Acrylic in Verde. Squeeze just a little bit out. I'm also going to use some of the Master's Touch in Purple Red. So as you can see, I'm keeping this very springy colored. Using the Master's Touch Acrylic in Bright Yellow, making sure the sticky thingy was off this one because this one's a pretty full bottle. And then last but not least, I have some Valspar in Sassy Lilac. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to open up the Valspar, shake it up, and see if I can actually open her up. There we go. This one I don't need to take any out of the container since I'm doing like a dabbing method for this. I don't have to worry about it. Okie dokie. So, gonna take my brush, which is just a round sponge tip, and we're gonna go ahead and paint our first bunny. And as you can see, that is not going to go down into that crack, which I'm perfectly fine with. And then I think I want to do a gradient of the letters. So I'm going to take this same paint and kind of go over part of the E and M on welcome, and then part of the P on peeps. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So now I think I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go into the Verde color. Just grab a little bit and we're going to go ahead and paint our second peep. And using stamping motions like this will help you get cleaner lines. Grab a little bit more. And now when we're going over that, that is going to gradient from the pink, or from the purple to the tealish color. Go ahead and do the same thing on there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our purple red, which to me is just a good medium pink, and dab, dab, dab. And I do have another color of paint out if you haven't noticed, the carbon, but we're going to apply that after things have kind of dried down a little bit. Okie dokie, kind of dab it off. There we go. Now, last but not least is our yellow green. Now tell me these colors don't scream spring to you. And you can use this process with any paint colors that you like or you have hanging around. Okie dokie. Oh, you know what I forgot to do with pink? Okay. Okie dokie. Now I do want to add a tad bit more purple to the rest of this letter to kind of keep the gradients even. I don't want to make any one section too big. There we go. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is let this sit for a couple of minutes. I forgot, I see a little bit of edge that's not covered by paint. Just to let it dry a little bit, but not too much. So that way we get cleaner lines. Because whenever you're doing the paint method like this, you don't want it to be too dry, but you don't want it to be too wet either. Let's see. It's such a thin layer of paint, so it should come off pretty easily. Grab my pick, any places that are wanting to stay. There we go. Now give me a minute and I will go ahead and remove the centers off camera because that will take a while. So I've been letting this dry for about an hour. So now what I'm going to do is I'm shaking up my carbon black chalk paint. It's just black paint. And now what I'm going to do is, because the Peeps face has, I'm just going to take and dip this end of my brush, not the actual brush end, so we can put two eyes and a mouth. And again, this doesn't have to be anything perfect. So, just taking the end, 3 dots, and last but not least, our green one. Just grab a little bit more paint. And as you can see, I'm just grabbing what's on the lid. So, there we go. Now our sign is finished. Now give me a moment and we'll go over everything we just did. So hopefully you like this video. If you do, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Now again, I know that the lavender is a little hard to see. I'll hold it up so you can see it a little bit better. But it is all the way down. It's such a light shade of purple that underneath these bright lights, it looks like it's actually white. But if you look at it in person, it is actually lavender. But yeah, don't forget to check me out on all my social medias, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're not subscribed, we post new videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We announce our new weekly wow sales on Sunday, and we always do a Tuesday live Q&A. But I guess that's it, so we shall see y'all on Friday.